let's jump over. We got our one last segment to take over. Today we're going to be talking about the mailbag. Over at What's on Sports, we allow you guys to Lance, I'm so hot. Oh my God, this is like, I brought my blood pressure up just talking about all that. We go over to What's on Sports. Whatsonsports.com is our website. You can go over there. You can send us questions. We'll be glad to answer them for you. Let's go to our questions right now. Let's dive into the mailbag. Lance, what do we got?
Well, first of all, good for you to let some steam off before we go to the mailbag. So, first question from Danny of Springfield, Illinois. So, hello, Danny, if you're watching. Where do you think Mitch Trubisky will play next season?
I think Mitchell Trubisky ends up in Chicago again. That's my opinion. I think Mitchell Trubisky just ends up right back in Chicago again. I don't think they have a place to put him. I don't think that they have anybody out there that's going to reach out and spend a lot of money for him. There aren't a lot of quarterback positions that are actually open right now. If there were, and if Mitchell Trubisky was an actual free agent, I think Mitchell Trubisky would be someone that somebody would take a chance on. Second overall pick at one point, obviously a talented guy, has not shown that he's that guy in Chicago, but no one on the offensive side in Chicago has really shown himself to be that level of superstar. So maybe it's a system thing. Look, you look at Trubisky. Trubisky has all the same qualities as a Josh Allen. Like he is a Josh Allen clone. He can run, good athlete, good arm. I don't know if he's got the head Josh Allen does, but Josh Allen learned a lot about himself, became a better quarterback outside of the facility. And maybe Trubisky isn't doing that right now, or maybe he's not doing it with the right guy. But Josh Allen went away for a preseason. I mean, for an offseason, and came back a completely different quarterback. And it was because they worked on his mechanics, they worked on his head a little bit, they got him in the proper headspace to be the guy he needs to be. His natural leadership took over. The coordinators were smart enough to develop an offense around him. I don't think Trubisky's had that. I would love to see him go back to Chicago for one single reason and one single reason only. The name Trubisky is perfect for the city of Chicago. It is such a perfect name if you know anything about the region. Trubisky just sounds like a Chicago guy. He should definitely go back to Chicago. That's my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I believe that he will end up back to the Bears fold because the quarterback market has already dried up, essentially, because Russell Wilson isn't going anywhere. Even Aaron Rodgers is not going anywhere, although it was speculated that they might be on the move. But here we are in February, and those guys are staying put. So Mitchell Trubisky has no other way to go but to go back to the Bears. Now, the question is, how much are they going to offer Mitchell Trubisky, because he's actually a free agent? Will they allow him to go under the franchise tag? Will they sign him for 2 or maybe even 3 years? So that would be the real issue for Mitch Trubisky and the Chicago Bears moving forward.
Yeah. Look, this is a crazy offseason, man. It's really going to come down to manipulating the money, and I love this part of the year. I really do. So this is going to be so interesting for me. I mean, we call you the sports nerd, but I am the numbers nerd of the sports industry. I love the numbers. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen with some of this stuff. It's going to be so interesting. This next month's going to blow my mind away. Let's go to our next question.
Okay, so from Christian of St. Louis, which team will end up with the worst record in 2021?
I am going to say that the team that will be the worst, I should read these questions before we start the show. I'm going to say the team that's going to be the worst team in football will be the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans will be left with absolutely destroyed, and they will be the worst team in football. That is my prediction.
Well, I will still bank on the Jacksonville Jaguars being the worst team next season, even though they will have Trevor Lawrence in the fold, because he's the presumptive number 1 draft pick. And they have 11 draft picks in 2021, but we don't know yet how many of those picks will become hits. So they might be misses. Plus the fact that Jacksonville is not an attractive attraction, or a destination rather, for free agents because of what has happened over the years. So they are stuck really rebuilding through the draft, and they're lucky if they get anybody from free agency, given their high salary cap or high value that they can still spend for the salary cap around 77 million.
Yeah, I disagree with you a little bit on the free agency thing. I really think they have an opportunity to really get some decent free agents in there. I think that a lot of guys have played for that coach before. And I think that there's an opportunity out there for somebody to say, oh, I'd love to go back and play for my college coach. I love playing for Urban Meyer. I love playing for Urban Meyer at Ohio State. That's a great opportunity to go back and really just bring my career first full circle. And, there's no state tax. Jacksonville's a nice town. I think there's an opportunity there for Jacksonville to be a lot better than a lot of people think they're going to be, especially because, listen, buddy, they got money to spend. And there are a lot of older guys. They're going to be looking for a last payday, and Jacksonville's going to be able to give them that last payday. A brand new culture. Especially if you go back to one that you're familiar with, Urban Meyer. I think you're going to see a surprise in Jacksonville. When free agency opens up, there's going to be a flurry of guys that end up back down there in Jacksonville that want to play with the number one guy, that want to play for Urban Meyer, that want to go down to Florida and retire down there like old people do. I think it's going to be a shocker how many people go down there. Just my opinion.
Yeah. Do you see them like a wild card team next year or so? The Jaguars.
I don't see them. Look, I don't see them as a wild card team. I still think they're going to be a losing team. I mean, I don't want to burst the bubble there, but I still think they're going to be a losing team. They're in a tough division. It's not an easy division that they're in. So if you're looking at it from that standpoint, I think that Jacksonville's still going to be a losing team. I don't think they'll be the worst team in football. That's what the question was. Who's going to be the worst team in football? And I told you I think it's going to be the Houston Texans because I think Watson's going to end up leaving. I think that team's going to be in disarray. It's going to be very tough for them to keep the rest of those guys happy. There's going to be some dissension there. I'm not sold on the coach that they got. I'm not sold on the actual franchise being able to mitigate all the disasters that have happened there. So overall, I think the worst case scenario for the Texans is to be the worst team in football. Let's do our last question and wrap this up.
Okay, last question comes from Ferry from Minnesota. So hello, Ferry. Will 2021 be the year when the Dolphins finally reach the playoffs again?
This is an easy question. 10,000% yes. The Dolphins will 10,000% make the playoffs. They very well could be the surprise team in the regular season that shocks everybody. I think Buffalo is a prime candidate to take a step back. But Buffalo is a prime candidate to take a step back. It's going to be very hard to be 13-3 again. Buffalo showed a lot of chinks in their armor. If they can't bring in the pieces that they need to make themselves into a better team, if they can't figure out how to have a running game and be a more balanced team, Buffalo's in a tough division. I think the Jets will be a little bit better and a little bit tougher team. I think New England will be a better team. I think the Dolphins are on the come up. They got a lot of young guys. They got a lot of really good corners. They got a quarterback who's going to be exponentially better this year. They're going to surround him with a lot more weapons. I think the Dolphins are on the come up, and the Dolphins have a very good chance to not just make the playoffs, to not just have a winning record, Lance, but to be among the best teams in the AFC because they got coaching too.
Yeah, indeed. Brian Flores has proven himself to be one of the better coaches in the NFL right now. And the thing about having good records, usually in the coming season or in the next season, they give you a tougher schedule. So Buffalo might have a tough time repeating as AFC East champions alone. So that's an opportunity for the Dolphins to swoop in and be the top of that division, given that there's still uncertainty in New England and New York is still miles away from being a contender. So it could be a 100%. Good opportunity for the Dolphins, especially with what they do in the third overall pick. Most likely they will get a wide receiver, be it Chase from LSU or even Devontae Smith from Alabama. So that helps Tua have that home run hitter, that speedster that can stretch the field and for him to just throw bombs downfield.
Yeah, I like the kid from LSU. You pair up the kid from LSU with the kid they have there right now, and they've got two really big 6'2" wide receivers who can body up, give Tua big targets. I think that's the position that you go in. The only other way I can see the Dolphins going is grabbing the tight end out of Florida. He's another weapon because he's not really a tight end. He's almost like a Travis Kelce type of hybrid type of player. I think maybe you do that, and then maybe you go later in the round and get your wide receiver. Like that's where I'd like to see the Dolphins go. Like personally, To me, I go after my tight end right out of the top of the draft. I get a talent that's unlike anything else in the draft. Third round, I come back. Maybe I get one more wide receiver. Maybe I get something in the off season. Somebody wants to come down, make a little money, get some sun, stay out of the state taxes, get away from COVID because it's a little bit less COVID down there. That's what I think could possibly happen with the Miami Dolphins. Steelers are my favorite team. I lived in Miami for 20 years. I've been to probably 6 dozen Miami Dolphin games. I happen to be a follower of the Miami Dolphins. I never say I'm a fan. I save that for the Steelers. So I wish nothing but the best for them. My name is John Todora. I am the sports trader, and I probably shouldn't have drank that Red Bull before the show. Over here, that guy right over there is Lance Fernandez. He's the sports nerd, and we have been the What's on Sports podcast. We had a lot of listeners today. For those of you that listened at home on the podcast networks, we really appreciate it. Wherever you're listening, leave a like, leave a comment, leave a subscribe. If you watched all the way to the end, obviously you love us. So go over to whatsonsports.com and join the $2 Sports Club right now today. That's it. That's all.